Hello, I'm Mikko Saari. I usually do videos in Finnish. I have a YouTube channel called Lautapeliopas and I do a board game video blog. Now I'm speaking in English because I want all of you to know why Dale of Merchants 2 is a great game and worth backing in Kickstarter. The game will be available in Kickstarter from May 2nd and I'm really hoping that the campaign will go through. The designer Sami Laakso from Snowdale Design sent me a preview copy, so take that as a disclaimer, but to be honest, I'm really a huge fan of Dale of Merchants. I recently did a video of my top 5 deck building games, and the original Dale of Merchants 1, which I backed myself in Kickstarter, was number 1. Even better than Dominion, even better than Lord of the Rings, the deck building game. It's simply the best. I think it does really refreshing things for the deck builder genre. Dale of Merchants is a fast game. Every card you buy, it doesn't go to your discard pile as is the usual way, but it goes straight to your hand. So you can use it immediately on the next turn. And the game is not about collecting points, it's about building piles of cards in front of you, and once you build the 8th pile, the game is over and you win. No counting of points and no drawn out end games. It's exciting from beginning to the end. Also, I really like the way that when you get nearer to win, your game gets kind of harder because you put all those cards in the stacks in front of you and they're out of your deck. So at the same time you're trimming your deck in order to make it more efficient. You can put weak cards in the piles, but also you may have to put good cards there as well. So you're losing those cards. Of course, there are cards that let you pick the cards back, and so there's plenty of things you can do. But it all works splendidly well. And I've also noticed that Dale of Merchants is an excellent game for newbies. Even when in the beginning you really don't have any idea what you're doing, but that doesn't matter because every card you buy is useful. Because every card can be used as money or an action or to help you win. You're going to be able to use every card. There are no useless cards, there are no really weak cards. Some cards are better than others. Some go really well together with other cards, and even if something is really not that useful for the action, it's always good for money and always good for points. That's why I think Dale of Merchants works so well. The biggest complaint I have about the original Dale of Merchants is the lack of the animal folk cards. Because how the game works, there are 6 different animals, each with their own separate deck, and when you play, you take 1 deck for each player and then 1 more. So with 2 players you're going to use 3 different animal folks, and with 4 players you use 5, so you leave 1 out. That of course means that when there are 6 different sets, then with 4 players you can get 6 different games. Each one can be left out. That's nice and good for variability, but not good enough. So what the game really needs is more animal folk cards, more sets. And that's what Dale of Merchants 2 delivers. It's very close to the original Dale of Merchants. It has same kind of box, same kind of board, also 6 different animal folk sets, a die, and some chunk cards you need in order to play. So what you get is very much the same, but with all new cards. Here we have some preview cards. There are the new animal folk are the experimenting platypuses, who are kind of tinkerers and let you manipulate your hand or your deck. Then there are the observant snowy owls. These feature a new game mechanic called reaction, and reaction cards are kind of like the passive cards you are familiar with from the old Dale of Merchants, but they react when someone else does something. For example, if there's a card that reacts when someone buys a card, and then you can do something. So these are really interesting. Then there are the reckless marbled polecats. These use the die, like the ocelots, and that makes them kind of chaotic. And there are all sorts of funny random effects with these guys. Then we have intimidating dwarf crocodiles. These are all about interaction. The original set had the raccoons who were able to steal cards. These are the raccoons of this set. These guys are evil. Then we have diligent pale-throated sloths. These are sloths, so they are quite slow. So they have lots of effects that activate on your next turn. You play a card, then on your next turn it does something. These are quite fun. And finally we have friendly fennec foxes who are really nice and kind and friendly with lots of cards that help the other players as well. But of course they may be helpful in a way that not everybody appreciates. For example, you can help everybody take cards from another player. So what we have here is a set that is kind of similar as the original game. There's one animal folk that's really interactive, one that's crazy random, one that's kind of complicated, and then the rest are basic but interesting in their own way. So what this does is when you combine, you have 12 different sets, and now you have a lot more variability and a lot more possibilities to adjust the game the way you want. If you really like the interaction, then you can take the dwarf crocodiles and the raccoons, and you're guaranteed to have fun. If you hate interaction, then just leave out the crocodiles, leave out the raccoons, and you will still have 10 animal folk from where to choose. So that works really well. Of course, Delve Merchants 2 is not an expansion. It can be used to expand the original game, but it also plays quite well alone. Dominion had this issue that Intrigue, which was an independent set very much like Delve Merchants 2, it was also a lot more complicated than the original Dominion, so it wasn't quite as good as your first set, as the basic Dominion. This is not the case with Delve Merchants. The new cards are not more complicated than the original. They're quite the same. I think they're quite the same level, and both, either Delve Merchants 1 or Delve Merchants 2, both are equally fine as your first and only set. Of course, it's best to have the both, but if you can have just one, you can very well have Delve Merchants 2. You will want the one eventually, but the two will do fine. The game will be available May 2nd, as I said. It's quite moderately priced and easily available all around the world. Delve Merchants 1 was definitely one of my highlights in 2015. It's certainly the best Finnish game to come out in 2015, and overall I'd rate it one of my very best games of 2015. And I very much expect that Delve Merchants 2 is equally good. I've played it a couple of times and with really good results. I've really enjoyed the new cards, and I'm really looking forward to the interaction between the new and the old cards. The preview cards I have don't quite match the original cards, so I haven't been able to combine the two sets yet, but I'm really looking forward to that as soon as I have the proper well-printed set. If you're interested in trying out, the print and play cards are available, so you can check this out. And then when you've tried it and find it out that it's a great game, then you can go back it. In a nutshell, Delve Merchants 2 is an excellent game and you really should back it. Thanks.